When the grid goes down for real, when the power's out, the stores are empty, and chaos is creeping closer, your shiny bug-out bag and freeze-dried meals might not be enough to save you. Sure, you've got your solar generator, your water filters, and your tactical flashlight. But here's the cold, hard truth. In a true disaster, it's not the flashy gear that keeps you alive. It's the forgotten essentials, the quiet, unassuming tools that no one talks about until it's too late. Most prepper checklists are the same: water, food, batteries, flashlight, maybe a first aid kit. And yeah, those are important. But ask anyone who's survived a long blackout, a hurricane, or even a lockdown under martial law, and they'll tell you those lists are missing the real lifesavers, the small overlooked items that can mean the difference between survival and disaster. In this video, we're diving into 15 must-have survival items preppers never think of. These aren't your typical suggestions. They're the game changers, the tools that separate the prepared from the truly resilient. And if you're missing even one of the top 5, you could be leaving yourself dangerously exposed. Let's start with something so simple, so basic, you'll kick yourself for not having it when your life depends on it. 15 forgotten kitchen survival guides. When the grid goes down, and your pantry becomes your lifeline, the last thing you'll want to rely on is your memory, or worse, your smartphone. Enter the Forgotten Kitchen Survival Guides. Cookbooks from the 1940s to the 1960s. These aren't your glossy, Instagram-ready recipe books filled with truffle oil and sous vide instructions. These are gritty, practical manuals written for people who had to make do with rationed ingredients, limited resources, and no modern conveniences. Think about it. No Google, no power, no refrigeration. How do you cook a meal that keeps your family alive and sane? These old cookbooks hold the answers. They teach you how to stretch a single can of beans into a meal that feeds 4, how to bake bread without yeast, and how to turn powdered milk into something that doesn't taste like despair. They're filled with recipes designed for cooking over open flames, stovetops without electricity, and ovens that might as well be relics of a bygone era. But it's not just about the food. These books are a lifeline to normalcy. In a world turned upside down, where every day feels like a fight for survival, the simple act of preparing a warm, familiar meal can be a psychological anchor. It's a reminder of better times, a way to keep morale up when everything else is falling apart. Now, you might think, why bother? I'll just eat my canned chili and freeze-dried meals. Sure, that works for a while. But what happens on day 10 when the canned goods are running low and the freeze-dried packs are starting to taste like cardboard? What happens when you need to make something edible out of the random odds and ends left in your pantry? That's when these cookbooks become invaluable. And let's not forget the practical skills they teach. Do you know how to preserve food without a fridge? How to make a meal out of scrap? How to cook with ingredients that don't require refrigeration? These are the kinds of skills that can mean the difference between surviving and thriving in a long-term crisis. So before you dismiss a cookbook as dead weight in your survival kit, think again. These old guides were written by people who lived through hard times, people who didn't have the luxury of microwaves, Instacart, or refrigerators the size of small cars. They knew how to make do with what they had, and their wisdom could be the key to your survival. 14. The silent savior, manual air pumps. Picture this: the power's been out for weeks. Your air mattress, the only thing keeping you off the cold, hard floor, is slowly deflating. Or maybe you've rigged up a rain catchment system, and it's collapsing because you can't maintain the pressure. Enter the manual air pump, a tool so unassuming, most people don't even think to include it in their preps. This isn't just about comfort though, that's a big part of it. A manual air pump is a mechanical solution to a host of survival problems. Need to inflate a makeshift flotation device? Done. Want to keep your solar shower functional? Easy. Trying to seal windows with insulation bladders? No problem. And let's not forget the morale factor. If you've got kids, they'll need somewhere warm and soft to sleep, especially when tensions are high and the mood is grim. Nothing tanks morale faster than spending 72 hours on a cold, unforgiving floor. Electric pumps are useless in a grid-down scenario, unless you're willing to waste precious battery power. And even if you've got a solar setup, why burn through your energy reserves on something you could do by hand in a few minutes? A manual air pump is cheap, durable, and most importantly, silent. In a survival situation, the last thing you want is to broadcast to the world that you've got resources worth stealing. Most people think of air pumps as luxury items for beach days or pool toys. But in a survival scenario, they're a lifeline. They keep you comfortable, mobile, and prepared for a range of challenges. And when the alternative is wasting your breath, or worse, going without, you'll be glad you packed one. 13. The unsung heroes. Insoles and shoelaces. In a survival situation, your most underrated body part is your feet. Think about it. If the elevators are dead, you're climbing stairs. If the building catches fire, you're running. If your bug-out plan kicks in, you're walking, hauling, and navigating debris. And if every step feels like punishment, you're not surviving, you're breaking down. That's where spare insoles and shoelaces come in. It's not glamorous, it's not tactical, but it's the kind of prep that keeps you moving when the rest of your body is screaming for a break. Most shoes, especially the ones we wear every day, are built for style, not endurance. Walk 10 miles in your office boots, and you'll understand, insoles are a game changer. They reduce fatigue, prevent blisters, and protect your knees and hips from long-term wear. And if your shoes get soaked, torched, or worn down, being able to swap in a dry, padded insole is the closest thing to foot rehab you're going to get during a blackout. Now, let's talk shoelaces. They're just string, right, until they snap mid-evacuation. Then suddenly, your foot's slipping out of your boot, your stride's off, and you're risking a rolled ankle or worse. Preppers love paracord, but don't forget that shoelaces themselves can be tactical tools. They can tie off gear, strap down supplies, or even repair equipment. But more importantly, they keep your shoes functional. And that keeps you mobile. In a survival situation, mobility is everything. Without it, you're a sitting duck. 12. The multitasking marvel. Borax. Borax doesn't usually make it onto survival lists, and that's a mistake. This humble white powder is a powerhouse in a world without Lysol wipes, Raid spray, or running water. It's cheap, shelf-stable, and incredibly versatile. First, let's talk disinfection. Borax, when mixed with warm water, becomes a powerful cleaning agent. It can wipe down counters, gear containers, and even toilet seats, without choking you with toxic fumes. If bleach runs out, borax can help pick up the slack. It won't kill viruses like bleach, but it will knock down bacteria, mold, and grime with ease. Next, pest control. One of the dirtiest secrets of long-term blackouts is that pests move in fast. Roaches, ants, even mice. They love the dark, the warmth, and the leftovers you forgot to lock down. A sprinkle of borax mixed with sugar becomes a roach death trap. But that's not all. Borax helps prevent mold, a huge issue when humidity rises, and ventilation tanks. It can also be used for laundry if you're hand-washing clothes or cloth diapers. Some even use it to treat athletes' foot and may-do in shoes. In a survival scenario, borax is a quiet workhorse. It doesn't scream tactical, but it solves problems before they spiral out of control. 11. The plastic lifesaver. Cling wrap. Cling wrap might be the most overlooked multi-use survival tool in your kitchen. It's light, cheap, and compact, but its uses in a crisis are anything but ordinary. Let's start with medical applications. Got an open wound but no sterile dressing? Cling wrap can act as a temporary barrier against dirt and bacteria. Hospitals sometimes use it to seal burns until proper care is available. Need waterproof? Wrap it around flashlights, electronics, or even your feet if your shoes are compromised. It's flexible, stretches to shape, and sticks to itself, making it perfect for sealing out water or trapping warmth. Speaking of warmth, you can layer it over fabric to trap body heat, like a budget Mylar blanket. It's also great for sealing containers, covering exposed food, or even deterring pests. Cling wrap isn't a survival essential, but it's a problem solver. And in a crisis, solving small problems can make a big difference. 10. The shape-shifting savior. It doesn't glitter, it doesn't scream tactical, but PVC pipe is the MacGyver of survival tools, quietly waiting in the shadows of your prep inventory. Its raw simplicity hides a world of potential. You see a piece of hollow plastic, I see a lifeline in chaos. When the world goes cold and unyielding, PVC isn't just building material, it's a lifeboat. Its structural versatility will blow open the doors of what you thought improvisation looked like. Imagine this scenario for a minute. It's midwinter, your heating system is down, and your home has turned into an icebox. PVC pipes paired with some basic connectors can transform into a frame for concentrated heat retention. You can create makeshift insulation tents to trap body warmth in one room. Without PVC, you freeze. Sudden plumbing issues could kill you faster than frost. Burst pipes or ruined water systems. Here's your savior. With PVC and nothing more than a ball valve and spare connectors, you can fashion rain-catching systems on balconies to keep your water supply flowing or redirect gray water for reuse. You can even fashion gravity-fed sinks for controlled water access. A lifesaver when rationing clean water is life or death. And if you convince yourself, I'll never need to DIY my survival in such an extreme way, let's talk trade. PVC and connectors are currency in a crisis. Barter them for food, tools, or supplies because trust me, someone out there will destroy their only water rig and come begging. Fail to build frames, fail to catch rain, fail to thrive. PVC pipe doesn't promise you glamour, but it guarantees you an edge. Everyone forgets this silent hero until it's too late. 9. Stormproof sealant, waterproof or die. Water is life. Right? Wrong. When it's crashing into your survival space from above, it becomes your executioner. Roof leaks aren't minor annoyances during disasters. They're defining moments that separate survival from demise. Enter stormproof sealant, your last line of defense. Picture it. A hurricane spirals through your town, winds howling, rain punching sideways. One by one, seals around your window frames break, your kitchen ceiling starts weeping, and the stockpile of supplies you swore would save you swells with water. No phones, no plumbers, no second chances. This is where roof sealant or flex tape earns its godlike reputation. Flex tape isn't just a roll of sticky adhesive, it's a life preserver. A bucket of roof tar isn't merely ugly DIY, it's salvation in liquid form. Crack forming near your balcony, tape it. Window seals split wide open, brush on tar, lost chunks of roof, cement them down. Every drop you stop is one less weapon in nature's arsenal. Shelter isn't optional in a disaster, it's survival rule number 1. If water destroys your fortress, you're homeless in chaos. Gear grows mold, electronics spark and die. Bedding becomes a sodden death trap and suddenly, you're a refugee in your own space. Stormproof sealants give you precious time against the slow march of rot, mildew and destruction. Every prepper needs to whisper this mantra to themselves: waterproof or die. You don't get do-overs in the storm. Patch or perish. 8. Silent guardians of gear. At first glance, those tiny packets of silica gel you instinctively toss when unpacking new gadgets scream useless trash. But those little bags of desiccant could very well become the backbone of your survival stash, your silent guardians of gear. Here's a terrifying reality most people don't consider. When the power goes out for days, moisture creeps in, HVAC systems die, naturally ventilated spaces choke under layers of condensation, and gear, your lifeline, begins to turn against you. Rust silently attacks firearms, flashlights corrode internally, and radios give their final static-laden sputter just when you most need help. Silica gel doesn't cure this catastrophe. It prevents it altogether. Those tiny packets suck moisture out of the air in your storage bins, drawers, and even first aid kits, stopping oxidation before it begins. Slide them into ammo boxes and your rounds stay sharp-edged and ready. Tuck them in with backup batteries and power failure isn't a death sentence for your flashlight or radio. Toss a packet into storage bins for medications, seeds, or long-term food packs, and rot slows to a crawl. The beauty, once they saturate, they're not done. Toss silica gel into an oven for a quick recharge, and they're back in action, quietly defending your survival stash again. Tiny, silent, and endlessly reusable, silica gel packs are a prepper's trusted foot soldier. Ignore them and slowly watch your survival tools corrode into useless relics before you. 7. The gear healer. Disaster rarely announces itself in nicely spaced increments. You might be cleaning up after a tornado one day, hiking through the wreckage of an earthquake the next, and during these tumultuous times, it happens. The moment where everything falls apart, literally, a destroyed backpack strap, a ripped jacket, a gaping hole in your tarp shelter. Enter the gear healer, also known as the sewing awl. Forget about dainty hand stitching. A sewing awl is a beast, designed to punch through thick materials like denim, leather, canvas, and heavy-duty nylon. Whether it's stitching a strap back onto your bug-out bag or reinforcing tarp seams against wind-slashing storms, this tool slides through like butter. But here's the kicker. The sewing awl doesn't just pull through heavy materials. It locks, each stitch cements itself into place, able to withstand stress, weight, and weather. That means no terrified prayers over whether your fix will hold in a downpour. People fantasize about apocalyptic heroism, but the truth is endlessly mundane. You're not out running zombies with adrenaline alone, you're patching torn boots so you can keep walking. You're sewing critical loops back onto your tarp so it doesn't flap violently away in the wind. You're fixing what would otherwise leave you stranded and defenseless in a world that has zero patience for weakness. You either stitch and survive, or you unravel and fade. 6. Blood stop essentials. You could survive weeks without food, days without water. But lose enough at once, and you're done in minutes. The most frightening scenarios in any SHTF situation don't come from movie-level chaos. They come from minor, preventable injuries. Blood stop essentials like Coban wrap and liquid stitches aren't just minor first aid tools, they're lifesavers. Imagine someone slices their palm on jagged debris while escaping a damaged building. The cut looks trivial at first, some blood, some pain, nothing urgent. But minutes turn to hours, and the wound won't stop bleeding. Infection grows like a silent predator. Enter Coban wrap and liquid stitches. Coban wrap provides compression without the risk of gangrene. It sticks to itself, not to skin, and stretches to hold gauze, dressing, or immobilize injuries tight, without restricting blood flow. And liquid stitches step in where sutures aren't an option. Got a clean but worryingly deep cut? Medical-grade Dermabond seals the wound in seconds, locking out dirt and bacteria. When riots swirl through the streets or paramedics are nowhere near, there's no grace period to figure out wound care later. Survival hinges on acting fast and decisively. These tools turn panic into action, stabilizing injuries long enough for your body to begin its natural healing. Without them, minor mistakes fester into catastrophic outcomes. 5. The forgotten library. Your paper lifeline. When the world goes dark, imagine it. The grid fails. The sky outside glows red with distant city fires, and your phone, once your pocket-sized genie, sits dead and useless. In a world where digital resources evaporate in seconds, no search engines, no videos, no saved PDFs, what's left when you face injury, hunger, or the unknown? The answer is terrifyingly simple. Knowledge, printed and bound, becomes the most powerful weapon in your arsenal. Forget the notion that printed survival guides are old-fashioned. In this new reality, paper pages might be the razor-thin barrier between life and unthinkable disaster. Let's cut to the bone. You stumble on rubble, your leg screams in pain, and you know you need a splint. No doctor, no urgent care, just the echo of pain through darkened halls. Did you memorize every first aid trick? Can you visualize how to treat shock, disinfect wounds, wrap a sprain, or handle an infection when antibiotics run dry? Under the pressure of life or death, memory turns on you. Your printed medical manual doesn't. Maybe hunger gnaws at you, but every shadow outside teems with risk. You spot a patch of green sprouting between cracked sidewalk slabs. Is it food, or is it a fatal mistake? Flip the pages. An illustration. A paragraph. Life or death now hinges on what you read, clear as day, centuries old, yet untouchable by blackout. Survival knowledge on paper isn't just information. It's a mentor that never sleeps, never forgets, and never needs recharging. But don't let panic spark a hoarding spree. Too many preppers rush to buy thick prepper encyclopedias, thinking more is better. Truth bomb. Curation is king. You want guides that are field-tested, concise, and actionable. Seek out classics like Where There Is No Doctor, the SAS Survival Handbook, detailed first aid references, urban survival guides, edible plant field manuals, step-by-step repair books, and even cookbooks designed for an electricity-free kitchen. Stack those strengths. Water purification techniques for when your sink runs dry, gun maintenance for the only thing standing between you and a threat, detailed blueprints for filtering creek water, or caring for a wound so it doesn't turn septic. DIY fixes for broken tools. How to build a cook fire in your bathtub. If it feeds, heals, or defends you without power, it belongs in your library. And don't forget, disasters don't pause for lost manuals. Keep your collection organized, labeled, and always stored in waterproof sleeves or a sealed tote, ready to grab at a moment's notice. Forget thinking that the notes from last summer's wilderness YouTube binge will save you when panic and exhaustion grip your memory in a ruthless chokehold. When the world is at its worst, the lifeless, silent pages of a survival book will outshine any dead device. Paper never crashes, never runs low on battery, and never lets you down. 4. The Silent Sentinel. Diatomaceous Earth, guardian of your food and health. Picture this. You've made it past the initial storm, you've locked your doors, guarded your supplies, and settled into uneasy silence. Then, you hear a faint scuttling behind the wall, the flutter of tiny wings in your once safe pantry. It isn't the looters or rogue gangs you have to fear now, it's the invasion of pests, relentless, multiplying, and deadly in their quiet persistence. Diatomaceous Earth is the unsung champion of your food storage, a white, chalky powder that seems harmless until you understand the power it conceals. Under a harmless guise, it harbors microscopic blades, razor edges that slice through the exoskeletons of ants, cockroaches, weevils, and mites. The result, a swift, merciless dehydration. No chemicals, no smell, no poisons. Just brutal, mechanical execution. When sanitation collapses, bugs don't knock at your door, they swarm in as if summoned from the darkest corners of hunger and rot. The blackouts drag on, and with every day that ticks by, your sealed bags and jars become battlegrounds. Without intervention, every meal may be crawling with unseen threats, carrying disease, filth, and despair. Most preppers underestimate just how quickly a pest problem can spiral out of control. Diatomaceous Earth buys you what traps and sprays can't: time, silence, and security. Lines it under the shelves, dust around your food buckets, smear it across windowsills, or barricade the ever-hungry horde under your bed. Each particle is a dagger, and bugs never see it coming. Want more? Mix food-grade diatomaceous earth into dried grains, beans, or flours. Your last line of defense against weevils, beetles, or pantry moths. It preserves every precious meal long after expiry dates fade into oblivion. Pests consume, shrivel, and die, leaving your stores safe and untouched. Some even suggest, in dire straits, ingesting tiny amounts of food-grade diatomaceous earth to bind toxins, parasites, or heavy metals in your gut, adding one more terrifying trick to your survival repertoire. And unlike sprays and poisons, it remains shelf-stable for years. A single affordable bag lasts nearly a lifetime, provided you keep it bone dry, stored right. Diatomaceous earth is as immortal as your fear of what night brings in a blackout. Don't let the invasion take root under your nose. A powdery ring could be the only thing standing between you and starvation by infestation. 3. The Shield of Skin. Bag balm as your first and last defense. The world can be cold, dirty, and ruthless, especially when survival is on the line. Everyone talks about food, water, and shelter, but what about the slow, creeping horror of your own body falling apart? Picture this. Days without a shower, endless walking in boots that rub you raw, hands cracked and bleeding from scavenging broken glass, assembling barricades, or simply bracing against freezing winds. Small wounds fester, blisters turn necrotic, cuts become infected, and if untreated, could lead to sepsis and an agonizing death. Here comes the Shield of Skin, Bag Balm. Ignore the cutesy branding. This miracle ointment started life soothing dairy cows' udders, but in the apocalypse, it becomes a multi-purpose medical marvel. In the silent, relentless march of disaster, Bag Balm works on chapped lips, cracked hands, split heels, wind-burned faces, and any spot where your protection, the skin, has been breached. Why is this terrifying? Every break in your skin is an open door for infection. Imagine not being able to wash. Imagine dirt and bacteria clawing into every sore. One infected cut, left unchecked, is all it takes for something simple to devolve into a fever-ridden nightmare. With antibiotics scarce, you can't afford to risk it. Regularly applying Bag Balm seals wounds, shields skin, locks in moisture, and here's the twist, actually helps heal abrasions and blisters faster, meaning you keep moving, keep fighting, and keep surviving. But that's not all. When every tool is precious, Bag balm doesn't just heal you. It acts as emergency lube for stuck zippers or hinges, can waterproof boots, soften brittle leather straps, and even maintain your weapons or gear. Chafing, blisters, friction burns, deal with these before they become disabling. This isn't just convenience, it's survival. People love to imagine the end will be dramatic. A struggle against monsters, a race for shelter, but the true horror is so much smaller and more insidious. The slow rot as your skin breaks down, letting in the invisible armies of infection and decay. The shield of skin buys you the one thing most casualties don't get: time. 2. The Phantom Tool. Manual hand drill, and the power to build without a sound. It's a darkness that seems alive, a silence so deep you can hear your heart thud in your chest. Out there in the wasteland, your once bustling city is now a labyrinth of collapsed ceilings, blocked doors and boarded windows. Now the lights are gone. Your power tools, the cordless drills, the electric saws, the rechargeable gadgets, are reduced to dead weight, corpses littering your workspace. If you're lucky, you have a backup generator. But fuel runs out, noise draws danger, and every hammer blow can broadcast your location to the predators circling in the shadows. This is where the Phantom Tool, the manual hand drill, steps out of history and into your trembling hand. You'd be amazed at how quickly your well-fortified home turns against you once tools become scarce. Screws rust loose, shelves sag, windows need barricades, new vents must be cut, or you realize too late that you need to secure your door. Quiet, that's the power of a hand drill. No buzzing motor, no screaming blade, just you and the slow, deliberate twist of metal on wood, metal or masonry. There's a strange comfort in its reliability, no batteries to lose, no knobs to twist, no buttons to fail. Just a tool that works regardless of the storm outside or the blackout stretching into eternity. Every prepper imagines making big fixes, but forgets the little repairs that break you: mounting a blackout curtain, drilling a drainage hole, fixing shattered furniture, patching a barricade between you and what's stalking the dark. All these jobs demand drilling, but doing so in silence, without the echoes of a hammer or saw, can make the ultimate difference. Quiet work is safe work. The ability to operate under the radar is everything when danger lurks just a floor above. A full set of mixed bits, wood, metal, masonry, means there's nowhere you can't poke holes, rig supports, fix or construct the unknown. Fix it by flashlight, work by touch alone, or fortify your shelter while the world's still sleeping. Just keep your drill dry and oiled. With minimal care, it will last through years of terror and hard labor. It packs up small, takes up almost no space, and sips on zero resources. In the silent apocalypse, your hand drill, your Phantom Tool, isn't just a convenience. It's the thin, unbreakable thread between safety and disaster, silence and discovery. When every sound might mean your end, only a hand drill will let you fight entropy and win. One careful turn at a time. 1. The Urban Hydra Key, unlocking survival one spigot at a time. Here's the one no one ever mentions. No bug-out bag brag posts it on Instagram, and no glossy prepper magazine rates it as a must-have. Yet when the clock hits 0, and your tap hisses its last drop, the world will kill for just one taste of clean water. The Urban Hydra Key, the Silcock Key, is small, nondescript, and will change your fate forever. As infrastructure collapses, service workers disappear, and water stops flowing in every home, panic sets in. Bottled water, gone within hours. Water barrels, too heavy to move, too obvious to protect. Bathtubs, sinks, and jugs soon run dry. Yet dotting every city are hidden portals to survival: outdoor water spigots, sealed behind tiny, peculiar fixtures, specifically designed to keep the public out. With a Silcock Key, a compact T-wrench, with 4 unique heads, you hold the skeleton key to the urban water kingdom. Schools, stadiums, shopping malls, office buildings, factories, and warehouses all come equipped with externally locked spigots, put there for janitorial staff and maintenance crews. In a crisis, most see locked taps as worthless. With the Urban Hydra Key, you see 1,000 unguarded wells. It weighs practically nothing, fits in your jacket or gear pouch, and costs less than your worst meal deal. But without it, all that potential water, untapped, unguarded, and life-sustaining, remains forever out of reach. Imagine the agony as you stare at gallons just feet away, the handleless spigot smirking at your thirst, and your only tool is hope. It's not a single-use trick. The urban Hydra key is built for indefinite utility. As long as city plumbing clings to life, there's water available somewhere if you have the right key. That's why in the panic and chaos of collapse, it's not the guns or gold that make legends. It's the one with a way to tap water where nobody else can. Think of every horror that comes with urban survival: dehydration, filth, disease, the creeping edge of madness as your lips crack and your mind tumbles. Glass after glass just a quarter turn away, yours for a twist, provided you prepared for what others ignore. Don't become the person locked out by a $5 oversight. With a Silcock key in your kit, the city is your wellspring, even as it burns and fractures around you.